Thank you. Good morning, Sheriff. Good morning, everyone. Captain Omar McKnight, District 4 Commander. We're going to kind of do an overview of our numbers for the whole year so far, which will be the first 3 months of the year, and then we'll get into crime. So I want to talk about our offense data, which is the crimes that have been reported for the year to date so far. The major categories we have, which is persons crimes, property crimes, and then our total Group A offenses. Every category is down this year so far for reported crime. Conversely, our clearance rates are all looking good for the year. So for our total persons crimes for year to date, we are at 84% clearance rate.
So real quick, so the person's crimes are homicide, human trafficking.
Assaults, aggravated assaults, sex offenses, human trafficking, homicides, those are all our persons crimes. And national average for that is 43.8%, and we're at 84%, so we're right about double the national average. And then our property crimes, we're sitting at around 66.4%, and the national average for that is 15.9%. So quick math, that's 4 times the national average.
And we're talking about clearance rate. Clearance rate is 4 times the national average, not the actual level of crime.
Correct.
Clearance rate. So an example is, burglaries. We're clearing 61.54% of the burglaries in the city we're clearing. The national average is 15, and the number of burglaries are...
Yeah, we only had 8 so far this year, for the whole year, 8.
We just changed that number one, not triple. Put the months out, so you never say that out loud. But anyway, go ahead.
And our total Group A clearance rate is 78.25%. So that's all of our crimes for the city. We had 617 offenses and 456 of them have been cleared by either an arrest or lack of cooperation, but it's been cleared. One of our biggest complaints here in Deltona is obviously traffic. I've gotten several emails lately about how we need more traffic enforcement. Well, our numbers year to date so far, the first 3 months of the year, we've written for citations almost 3,600 tickets in 3 months. So that's 1,200 a month we're averaging. Crashes for the year to date, there's 344 crashes in the city so far. We've done 2 operations. They have been targeted towards aggressive driving. Our first one, we did 159 stops and issued 125 tickets, did 3 criminal citations, and we got a DUI out of that one. Second was a collaboration with our traffic unit, County Motors, and also DeBerry Motors. We all collaborated in the city of Deltona, and we did 196 stops, 242 tickets, 9 criminal tickets, and 1 arrest with 2 crashes. So hitting it hard with traffic. We're trying to make the city obviously continue to keep it safe. And 3,600 tickets for 3 months is a lot. The total number, I want to say it was around 11,000. Yes. So let's get into some crime. First up, we had an aggravated assault. This was in the 700 block of South State Road 415 in Osteen. Our victim was involved in a road rage incident with another driver. Our victim flicked off our suspect, and then a female in the other car pulled out a gun and pointed at him. And they both fled the area, and the detectives have this case.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sergeant Johnson, I'm the supervisor of the Deltona Detectives Unit. This case, like the captain said, is a class road rage incident where one individual decides to utilize a firearm as to the victim. In this case, we checked all the LPRs, tags and stuff, the video and stuff in this case. Unfortunately, we were unable to identify the suspect vehicle in this. We had several suspect vehicles that we identified, but the victim said that they weren't the ones that committed the crime. So at this point, this case right now is suspended until we get further evidence.
Our second case up is another road rage incident, 492 Providence Boulevard. Our victim was turning into his driveway on Providence, and another driver accelerated his vehicle to put him in fear and then fled the area. We located our defendant and arrested him, and he lives nearby in Deltona. As far as domestic violence for the month, we had a total of 5 aggravated domestic violence cases. All 5 of them were cleared by arrest. We had 32 simple domestic violence cases. All 32 were cleared by arrest. So none of them for this month were. We are working on looking at 2025 to see how many repeat addresses we have and what we can do to try to reduce those numbers. We're in the process of data mining for that.
The captain has been taxed with that exact thing to start tracking that and reporting that. So, and he gave you a good answer because the chief was going to ask that question of you this morning.
So the Excel spreadsheet I have, there's 4,100 lines in that spreadsheet. So we have a lot of data to go through. So we're working on it. We're making progress.
I think one of the things is, and I know David just walked in, so we'll throw you on the spot. I know Matt, Councilman Reinhardt is talking about your domestic violence registration thing. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, we pushed that initiative, I think, about a month and a half ago. You got unanimous support to research it. So our legal team is working through it to cover all the bases to make sure that we're in compliance and do that legally. So I hope we have something back within the next month or so.
Very good. Just figured I'd call right over there.
Yeah, I just showed up. I heard you were serving a warrant here.
Well, you guys were away. Emma missed all the excitement. She wanted to go out on a warrant, and she missed the one where you guys would get. Yeah.
So let's jump into property crime for the month. Our first case up is an attempted car break, 164 Perimeter Drive. One of the victims was outside of his house smoking a cigarette when he saw an unknown black male attempting to break into 3 separate cars by pulling door handles. 3 different vehicles were attempted to be entered. All of them were locked, so no entry was made, nothing was stolen, and the detectives have this case.
This case is assigned to Detective Galarza. We're canvassing the area for additional video surveillance of this individual, checking the local gas stations and stuff like that to see if he's entered them, to see if we can get a positive ID on him. It looks like the victim should be able to probably pick him out of a photo lineup if we do identify somebody, and we're still working this one.
Next case is a burglary, 2444 Hope Avenue. This is a reported burglary. We're going to try to get this cleared. Our victim is moving and discovered his firearm and wallet are missing from the residence. There's no evidence of an actual theft, no evidence of that any entry was made to the home. So this is likely lost property, and if it is, we can get this off of our list. But as of now, the detectives are working this case.
Yeah, Detective Borble is working this one. He interviewed everybody, all the parties involved. It doesn't seem like this is a theft at all. There's been no activity on the victim's credit cards or anything like that to suggest that it was a theft. It's probably just being misplaced. He is currently being moved by family, so they probably just misplaced it at this point.
So our only actual burglary for this period is 778 Cloverleaf Boulevard. Forced entry was made to the home, and access to a safe containing approximately $30,000 in cash and approximately $80,000 in jewelry was taken. Detectives did a great job on this case. I'll let them kind of explain how they cleared this.
First thing is somebody in this room's video camera actually caught what occurred here.
Yeah, absolutely. Was a big help in identifying the suspect vehicle and getting the tags and everything, and identified the actual suspect in this case, who is Diego. His criminal history is 4-0 on felonies and 4-0 on misdemeanors. The detectives did a really good job on this. The on-call detectives started working this that afternoon. It worked all the way through the night to where Detective Galarza got it the next morning, and we were able to get an arrest warrant for Diego based off the investigation, which led him all the way back to Orlando. This crime is sparked by the individual Diego was there at the house previous for narcotics usage, and the ex-girlfriend left the next day to go to New Jersey, and he decided to come over with his friends and burglarize the house and take the stuff in the safe. Several items were recovered. I don't think the actual amount that he's given us is correct from what some of the jewelry and stuff that we recovered.
And everybody in here's got a criminal history. The victim's got 13 felonies, 4 convictions, 10 misdemeanors, 2 convictions. the suspect, Diego, whatever how you say his last name, he's got 4 felonies and 4 misdemeanors. And the female involved in this, she's got a extensive, same thing, 6 felonies, 4 misdemeanors.
Yeah.
So, you guys did a good job with this.
For this month, we had 3 domestic violence robbery cases. The reason it was robberies, all 3, they had phones taken from the victim's possession, which turned into a robbery. 2 of them were cleared by arrest. 1 of them we've sent off to the state attorney for a warrant because he lives out of the area. Jumping into motor vehicle theft. First one is 1008 Hemingway Drive. The victim's son stole the vehicle without permission, and the vehicle was recovered, and he was placed under arrest. Second motor vehicle theft, we have 964 Dawson Drive. This is a 2012 Hyundai Elantra. It was stolen from the driveway. Within a few hours, Altamont Springs Police Department recovered the vehicle with a Timothy Scott driving it. The ignition was punched, and this was cleared by arrest.
Hold on, auto thefts. You had a stolen Mercedes yesterday off of Fort Smith.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. Detective Flowers is going to be working that. They're working on it right now.
Okay. That was one where the key fob was in the car?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
For this month, we had 3 shopliftings, which is significantly down from previous months, and all 3 were cleared by arrest. And the last case I want to talk about is the shooting that happened at the racetrack gas station. Coincidentally, the shooting that happened is also related to other crimes that we had previously. So we'll kind of let Sadie kind of tie in a crime term we had in January, we had it in February, and then ultimately we had the shooting here at the racetrack.
Thanks, Captain. Yeah, this incident occurred at the racetrack gas station at Howland Boulevard over there by I-4 around 5:30 in the afternoon. These individuals here, Jacob Zambrana, he was the driver of a silver Toyota Camry. Efren, he's a juvenile. He was in the suspect vehicle, a red Chevy Camaro. Devontae White was also in the car with Jacob. Also in the car with Jacob was Jomar Oquindo, I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that, and Joel Brothers. This incident occurred, we found out, over a beef between Efren and Devontae over a rap video. These individuals are between 17 and 19 years of age. None of them have any major criminal history. That afternoon, Jacob and his crew in the Toyota went to the apartment complex behind the racetrack. They get into an altercation with Efren and the individual that was driving the red Camaro, Deshaun Flood, from DeLand. It escalates to the point where the Camaro with Efren is chasing the Toyota Camry through the parking lots, all the way to where the gas station is. That's where multiple witnesses observed Efren hanging out the window, firing shots at the silver Camry. This is at 5:30 in the afternoon. It's very busy then, and for these individuals, with hardly any criminal history, to go to that level of violence and these type of crimes, it's just unbelievable. Detectives working that, on-call detectives came out. They worked it all night long. We came in the next morning and picked up the investigation. Detective Galarza, we were able to get an arrest warrant for Efren. We also arrested Jacob and Devontae on gun possession charges. So during that incident, they have the shootout. The Camry goes into the other neighborhood, the Arbor Ridge neighborhood. We then find video surveillance of Jacob and Devontae exit the vehicle and hide some items in the wood line. Deputies go there, recover what's in the wood line, which is 2 firearms, one stolen out of Orange City, one stolen out of Lake Helen. So they're in possession of 2 stolen firearms. We then later stopped the car for Ephraim and the other guy, towed it. We ended up doing search warrants on both vehicles. And then ultimately, we arrested Jacob and Devontae on the stolen firearms and Ephraim on the gun charges on the case. We later tied Ephraim, he was shooting a .40 caliber handgun. If you go up to the next slide, we tied it to this case here, which was earlier in the year. We had a string of car breaks in the Arbor Ridge subdivision there, where these three individuals were arrested on March 1st, and they were in connection to that. And how we tied Ephraim to these initial burglaries, on the second string of burglaries, a .40 caliber gun was stolen out of there, and then also credit cards were used on one of the victims that came back to Ephraim's house. So we're working on getting Ephraim also additionally charged with these car breaks, but he has been charged with the fraud and fraudulent use of the credit cards. And all of these individuals were in possession of obviously the stolen firearms that they stole out of these car breaks, which are vehicles left unlocked with firearms in them.
So I want to thank, number one, crime and violence, you guys jumped on it immediately, which we're supposed to do. And number two, the in-depth follow-up to go down and follow back up on all of the other crimes that they committed prior to the shooting is very commendable for everything that patrol and you guys did on this case. You actually did this pretty damn fast when you think of it.
Yeah, it came together really fast. And honestly, we caught some luck with the video surveillance catching them, because where the video surveillance came from was a house where the little kids started playing basketball in front of, which triggered the surveillance to come on, and just happened to catch them discarding the firearms in the wood line. So
Modern technology, man.
it is.
Modern technology. Anytime, I'd be lucky, I'd rather be dumb, fat, ugly, and lucky than, handsome, rich, and, well, like Omar Bello. We all can't be like him.
So to tie into some other crimes that match into this for the year, if you'll go up another slide, is the burglaries we had at the smoke shop in Deltona and the liquor store in DeBerry. These three individuals right here were all identified through latent fingerprints from our crime scene and our LPU unit, which we all were able to get arrest warrants for all three, who all have been arrested. These three juveniles, all from Orlando, came over with three other individuals that we haven't identified yet, and they pretty much did a smash and grab and fled back to Orlando. Prior to them coming over, they stole 2 cars in Orlando. So
We don't know if what their connection was to Deltona. We just know that we were fortunate enough to get them when charging them with the 2 burglaries.
I believe they thought Volusia was an easy target. Come to find out that was not.
They should have stayed in Orange County.
Should have stayed in Orange County.
Maybe we need to do a little marketing, Facebook.
I think that's a great idea.
So, Sheriff, just really quick on the first one, are any of the suspects were they Deltona residents?
There were all from the DeLand, Orange City area.
So they just came to Deltona to do whatever they had to do.
Yeah. Efren actually lives in Deltona. He lives almost behind the gas station, so.
And you said that the guns were related to the car break-ins, right?
Yeah, well, there were, can you go back to the next slide? Anthony Cruz, Anthony Cruz, he had a firearm on him when he was arrested from the car breaks that he committed. And the other one was we believe the firearm used by Efren, it hasn't been recovered yet, was the .40 caliber stolen during those car breaks as well, because that's the shell
In
casing.
Arbor Ridge.
In Arbor Ridge, because that's the shell casings we found, and now that we tie him to those car breaks, we believe that was the one also used.
But the 2 other guns were stolen out of car breaks from Orange City and Lake Helen.
Not car breaks from there. There were different circumstances, but they were stolen, reported stolen. So
I'm just trying to figure out, like, if as a gun owner, if you leave your gun in your car, you leave your car unlocked, they should get penalized.
Good luck with that one.
yeah,
That's not going to, the NRA will never allow that to fly. That's been tried all over. That's been tried all over the country.
I support that, but you have to be responsible because, can you imagine what would have happened in a racetrack? if those bullets would have hit somebody?
Oh, right, absolutely.
That's the reason why we have the response we have on this type of calls.
I don't have the slide, but we do, when we do these meetings every week, we do have number of cars, car breaks where firearms were stolen, locked or unlocked. The number has been dropping, if you can find it, but the number has been dropping over the last couple of years. One's too many, but it was out of control 3 or 4 years ago.
It's trending in the right direction.
It's trending down.
Well, it was great that there was a couple of attempts and the cars were all locked. I was surprised for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that just shows you how, if you lock your doors, it will, deter these individuals from further trying to break your glass or anything like that. They're not looking to do that. They're looking for easy targets, and they're looking for guns. That's what they're doing. Because the guns end up in the hands of these individuals here,
They're all
committing
not
shootings in the
21
community.
years old.
Right.
Sheriff,
Well,
I've got this.
To get to your point about a state, you want to talk about the United States Marshals and us and the travel lodge?
Yeah, I got the gun stats as well.
Good.
So, so far this year, countywide, total gun thefts were at 28. 2025 for the year, we were at 168. And 2024, we were at 241 for the whole year. So they are dropping pretty dramatically. For gun thefts from vehicles in 2024, we were at 33, and we're at 7 so far this year. 4 out of those 7 were in unlocked cars. So. The Marshall's case down at Travel Lodge, I think Lieutenant Tucker may be able to talk a little more about that.
Lieutenant Tucker, go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning.
Reference the travel lodge that he's referring to. We had a most wanted subject out of a neighboring county that we located there, and during the arrest and subsequent search warrant, they seized a number of firearms from his hotel room, as well as connecting those firearms to some cases that they had in their county. I'm just looking for the name of the subject.
He's out of Putnam County, right?
Yes, sir.
Cameron's part of our narcotics unit, so he'll be talking about what we've seen so far, some of the hits we've had in Deltona.
The suspect on that was Bruce Harris. He was actually one of Putnam County's most wanted, per se, and had been on the run since January 2025. So marshals tracked him down to the Travel Lodge. Ultimately, they surrounded the hotel room. It took him about 7 minutes to come outside, and after the fact, they realized that he was inside flushing a bunch of dope. They were still able to, I think he clogged the toilet, and they were still able to recover about 65 grams of MDMA, some cannabis, oxycodone, some other stuff. So, but his charges back in Putnam County were pretty significant, multiple counts of trafficking and firearm by convicted felon. He was actually tied to an overdose that occurred at his house in Putnam County of I believe it was a 1-year-old child that had gotten it and to some drugs in his house. So, and that was what he was originally wanted on.
These guys definitely aren't smart.
No, but they're dangerous.
Moving into the narcotics, thank you, Captain King. I'll start with the overdoses. So countywide for 2026 so far, we've had 46. Out of that 46, 4 of the overdose deaths have occurred in Deltona. Countywide overdoses is at 207 for 2026, which is down from 2025. Year to date, same time range, which was 221 then. 18 of those have been in Deltona, so a significant decrease for the city of Deltona.
So 18 overdoses this year in the city and 4 deaths in the
Yes,
city
sir.
so far. In this
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is a good reduction. So last year at this time, there had been 6 deaths, and we're flat on the overdoses at 18. But that is still down from this time period in 2024 where there were 30. So we're seeing a downward trend there, which is great. Moving into some of the narcotics that we've seized so far this year in Deltona, we've seized about 5.4 grams of cocaine, 54.1 grams of crack cocaine, 100 grams of cannabis, 161 grams of fentanyl, 13 grams of methamphetamine, and about 30 various narcotics pills for a total street value of $125,600. So far in 2026, the Deltona narcotics team has been assigned 35 cases. They've completed 25 of those cases, and they've completed 6 residential search warrants. And throughout that time period, several notable arrests have been made, and I'll go through a couple of them. I'm going to start by talking about some of the key sentencings that we've had from cases that wrapped up at the end of 2025. So back in 2025, we had gotten a complaint here in the city of Deltona for a Miss Nicole Harms for sale of fentanyl. We ended up doing a couple of buy-bust operations on her and arresting her for the sale and delivery of fentanyl. She received a year and a day for her sentence just recently, and she's going to have 6 years of probation afterwards, which we know based on what we're looking at, she'll never be able to finish that. Another notable is a Mr. Francisco Rivera complaint for sale and delivery. Worked a couple of buy-bust operations for fentanyl, and he received 18 months on DOC, followed by 3 years probation. And the list goes on and on and on for multiple sentences of 2 to 3 years in prison for the same thing, fentanyl, cocaine, fentanyl, cocaine. One of the most notable out of that is Rashonda Roberts. This individual we ended up tracking down and finding with some firearms in addition to trafficking amounts of cocaine, fentanyl, MDMA, oxycodone, and he received 4 years in prison, followed by 10 years of probation. And moving into some specific complaints that we got that the sheriff has already mentioned. Back at the end of December, beginning of January, we received a complaint for 799 Sullivan Street. And during that investigation, we executed the residential search warrant there, which resulted in multiple people being arrested in the recovery of about 30 grams of cocaine and the seizure of the motor vehicle that he was using to transport that cocaine throughout some deals here in Deltona. During the month of February, we teamed up with the Florida Gaming Commission and executed some search warrants for the preview games at the restaurants and bars, specifically Murphy's Bar and Buzzard's Roost. And those machines and the money proceeds for that were seized. Going into March, this is the complaint on 729 Cloverleaf. And just 2 days after we received that complaint, we ended up there for a search warrant, arresting multiple individuals, seizing about 30 grams of cocaine, 12 grams of fentanyl, and a variety of other narcotics. And we recovered 12 firearms, over 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and that is a 4-time convicted felon that went to jail there. In the end of March, we did an ongoing investigation with the Postal Service, and we ended up at 2752 North Juliet Drive. During that large-scale operation, we seized 5 kilos of cocaine, 1 kilo of black tar heroin, 15 kilos of methamphetamine, 18,000 fentanyl pills, and 28 kilos of assorted pills that we're still testing today. I think.
Get a slide.
I'm sorry?
Get a slide.
I think Miss Anastasia in the back is working on that.
All this is done on the internet.
So these are all photographs from the search warrants that I specifically mentioned, what we were able to take. That's the safe with the multiple firearms and the ammunition from that 4-time convicted felon. Yes.
Back up that one, back up the other one. That's all pills. Mushrooms. Biggest drug dealer in the country, United States Postal Service.
Essentially, in a nutshell, the investigation, it's online sale and delivery of narcotics using the Postal Service. So they're selling it over the internet, packaging it, mailing it out, and this was one of their hubs.
So don't confuse the two, right? The one with the 4-time convicted felon is different than the internet one.
Oh, yes, yes.
So there are two different entities. This one, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody involved, nobody has been arrested.
And
They're just entrepreneurs who figured this is the best way to do it. The other one is the old-fashioned way of dealing dope.
yes. Nobody in this investigation had any criminal history other than maybe a traffic summons, whereas in the other ones, they're in and out, in and out, in and out, and as you said, have the old-fashioned firearms and everything else with their drug sales.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there. Everything that I mentioned, there's been multiple arrests. In counting here, I've got about 12 or 15 different names, and over 12 people that have been sentenced. So, with that, we're starting to see a reduction in some of our complaints because every time we get these within short order, we're knocking on somebody's door, we're taking their dope, they're going to jail, and then, the cases are good and they're having to plea
I
out.
on Cloverleaf, I think I got that on a Tuesday morning, and she got a search warrant on Thursday. That's how quick that information came in. This one was kind of more long-term because you had the Postal Service, you had ATF, you had DEA, you had a bunch of people on this one.
This was a home invasion murder waiting to happen. Yeah, people talk about how do you prevent murders. Yeah, this, when people found out about this, that was, it's like the other burglaries we talked about at the beginning. It all started with narcotics.
Exactly. How much cash did we pull out here?
Um,
On hand cash, not with.
On hand cash, I think it was about 9,000 from that specific location. We've gotten some others where it's 15, 20,000. I'm looking at the other one. Sullivan and Cloverleaf were both around 10 grand. So the pills to the right are some of the fentanyl pills and some of the other undetermined. They were not marked. They were pressed pills with an unknown substance yet. We're still waiting on some testing results. And then you have the mushrooms in the bag on the left picture and in the box to the right. Yeah. I think in total, throughout the house, there was about 5 pounds of mushrooms, which is a lot.
What else you got?
That's all I've got, Sheriff.
Good job. You guys got any questions for narcotics while you got it there?
Just thank you for taking that garbage off our streets.
Phenomenal job.
I got a couple of text messages when the things came out. I'm like, this is great. I mean, what's the complaint? We got it off the streets. That's what we want. So good job, guys. Thank you.
Carly, since we talked about a few juveniles here from Pine Hills and everywhere else, what do you got going on?
Good morning, everyone. Director Kwan. As they stated earlier in the meeting, we are seeing a spike in violent juvenile crime. Juvenile crime is down overall, but not violent juvenile crime with guns. And they're not afraid to pull the trigger, as you can see. And that's the scary part because they're getting younger and younger. We're starting to see an increase of felony arrests between 9 and 11-year-olds. So things are not changing. They're just getting younger because of what they're seeing on the internet. And we're trying to work with schools and counselors to get the families the services to kind of correct this behavior, but it's a challenge with social media and video games.
What we see is, because we have the Juvenile Assessment Center, we get the juveniles from all over the circuit. So we see what's going on in St. John's and Putman and Flagler. And, you know, some of the cases we had a 12-year-old try to kill herself on a school bus with a semi-automatic handgun, and the gun happened to jam when she did it, and they were able to tackle her and get the gun away from her. Imagine had she wanted to kill people before she killed herself on the school bus. And what were some of the other, we had the 8-year-old in Daytona that grabbed one of his parents' guns because he got in a fight outside and chased the kids through the neighborhood with a firearm. He didn't pull the trigger. What else am I missing?
No, that's basically it, and that's what I'm saying, they're getting younger, where this kid was outside playing, he got upset with the kids, he went into the house, got his mother's gun, put it in his pocket, went to the playground and pulled the gun on the kids. So this is a learned behavior for some of these kids, because how else would they know how to do it? And again, the 12-year-old getting on the school bus and pulling the trigger, and then we had an incident where a kid had to decide between him or an adult who was going to die, because the adult put the gun on the table and said one of us is not going to leave the house alive, and the kid took the gun and shot the adult in the head. So
Called his bluff.
we're seeing all types of
So
violence.
Todd, on a good note, talk about what's going to happen in Deltona High on May 1st.
So none of that happened in our schools.
None of that happened in our schools, right?
So on May 1st, we're going to have a media day for Campus Guardian Angels drone pilot program. The sheriff worked very hard with the state to get the program here. It's a pilot program basically where drones will be inside the school. They're in a locked box. Indoors, they can fly 30 to 50 miles per hour. Outdoors, they can get up to 100 miles per hour. The goal is to launch the drone within 5 seconds of an active shooter being on the campus, and then to be in contact with the active shooter within 15 seconds. So basically, they're in a locked box, or a closed box that's got, you can't get into it. And they're always ready. There's a team of professional drone racers, some of the best in the world. In Texas, they will put on their virtual reality headset, and they'll pilot the drones remotely from Texas, so you have access to the best drone pilots in the world. On the drones, they have lights and sirens and a pepper goo. It's not a pepper ball, because you could poke somebody's eye out with that. So they went with a goo instead, and they can confront an active killer, provide commands, distract them, if necessary, strike them with the drones. There's multiple drones per building, so that they can line them up if they need to and fly them through a window to get into a room where an active shooter is. The drones do not spy on the kids. They do not have, it's an encrypted network. Basically how it works is there's a super high level of encryption, and then on top of that, they require keys to go with that encryption, one on each end, so that if a hacker could break into the encrypted superhighway that they would be operating on, you would have to have the keys on both ends, to the drone and to the facility where they're working out of, to then launch any kind of like a hack on it. And then if you think about it, if you did hack it, what buttons up? Now you got to figure out how to fly the thing. So there's should be no concerns with any of that. It's all been tested and evaluated. And one of the really cool things is, so they come in, they scan the school, and if you took all the people out of this room, that's exactly what their scan would look like, identical. And then from that, we can train with the deputies and then create our response tactics and how to respond to active threats, and what they're going to do, what we're going to do, so that we're all on the same page. And then we took it one step further. The app that they have, you have Bluetooth on it, and what they were doing initially to start with was you'd put an earbud in or something like that. So we got the Meta glasses, where it will automatically Bluetooth into their ear, and they can hear exactly in their tactical command. They have a SWAT commander that can provide guidance. Go straight, go straight, go straight, turn left, go, 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 go. And I think in the future, what you'll see is in the glasses, arrows directing them. So it'd be green forward, then a left arrow, stuff like that. That's long-term, way off. That's not right now. But that is the future, and the sheriff worked very hard to get us this pilot. It's absolutely incredible technology. And then we'll ultimately also be able to train in a virtual reality atmosphere. So all of the scans went into secure, like Fortnite, basically is what it is. And from that, we'll be able to virtual reality train on active shooters and how to deal with them. And it's really cutting edge technology. It's amazing.
You know, you need a little bit of luck in life, but he has a tremendous reputation with the Chancellor of Schools, which got us to the first step. And then the Chancellor called me and said, look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make a recommendation. You need somebody above me. And Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, when I called him, said, it's done. You're one of the 3 counties that are getting this pilot program. So that's how that came to fruition for his great work, at least to tell the Chancellor, to tell us, if I had my choice, Volusia's getting one, but I don't have that choice. It's above me. And the Lieutenant Governor said, it's done. Don't worry about anything. And sure enough, we got it. Anything else you want to touch on with schools?
So last week we presented at Florida's National Summit on School Safety for bomb and swatting threats. Interestingly enough, we've been teaching our staff on that, the principals, the deans, the assistant principals, on how to handle those. And then we got a massive amount of them in the last several weeks, and it's led to no disruption of education time from all of these.
That's because the mayor was right on when that one came out about Deltona High, and then all the other ones came in that day after spring break.
Yes, we've been getting a lot of them. Actually, the whole state, we started. They started attacking us and a couple other counties right off, and then it spread throughout most of the eastern side of the state of Florida. We have 9 of our 10 high schools now have metal detectors in them. When we were working on our reunification, we actually found a vulnerability in it. So our mental health teams on the school side are trained to deal with mental health issues, obviously, but every time that they come in, it's long after a traumatic event. So the sheriff's office chaplains trained the school's mental health team on how to handle traumatic events in the event that we have some kind of an incident on one of our campuses, that they can respond with the sheriff's office chaplains and work through that process. On the 16th, we're doing a reunification exercise at Coronado Elementary. We did one at a high school so that we could see how the reunification process would work with high school kids. But obviously, when you have elementary school kids, that's going to be significantly different. So we're going to do a training with that and reunify elementary kids. Because if you ask little Timmy if his name's little Timmy, he's going to say yes, even if it's not his name. So we need to make sure that our team understands how this process works so that we know how they're going to behave and how we need to act on that as well. K9 Maverick has checked 264 classrooms and 98 parking lots for firearms. We haven't located any, so that's very good.
But explain how good he is, because Port Orange used him. And
Yes, so we had a house, they went into it, and it was like a hoarder house. Like, where could this gun possibly be? The initial check was, this is going to take like 10 hours to figure this out. We sent K9 Maverick in. Within a few minutes, he had it figured out exactly where it was, and they recovered the firearm that was used in the shooting.
So at least we know that every time I see Maverick, he's laying on his back and his belly rubbed. At least we know that dog.
Yeah, he's a good dog, very
Still
smart.
track weapons down.
We've got the highest technology in the pilot programs with the drones in the school, and we've got a good old police work.
It's a good old-fashioned way of doing stuff.
So they actually, when we went to the national summit, they had kids come in and talk about what made them feel safe. And one of the things that they really talked about was the canines and how it makes the SROs and the SRDs feel more human because they have that interaction with the canine as well. Currently, we have 34 school days left, and so far we've recovered 9 weapons. Last school year, we were at 51. So at the end of the third quarter, we had reduced weapons on our campuses by 75%.
And
So
no guns.
no firearms on our campuses. There's a little caveat to that. A guy got in a road rage and then pulled into one of the parking lots and got arrested for having a firearm, but that's completely
Right.
different.
Do you want to talk about the 3D printer, or you want to keep that quiet? Aren't we working a 3D printer?
That's not me.
No. don't we have a complaint about a 3D kids printing a gun on a 3D printer?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I know, I listen to these things. You guys may think I'm sleeping when you brief me, but I'm paying attention. Yeah, is that what he was gonna do? Katie, please get him back in line.
Domestic security is looking into it with the municipality responsible for the school. I can pull up the case details. I just need a second because it's buried in.
Do you want to talk about it or leave it alone? It's just that we're investigating that kids may have used a 3D printer to print a gun.
I can absolutely talk about it.
Okay.
Nothing about it's competent. I just need a minute to find it.
Okay, good.
In here.
Go ahead, Todd.
I got two more things here. So far, our 21 of our schools have been audited by the Office of Safe Schools. 19 have passed, a 90% pass rate, which is incredible. There's thousands of ways that they can fail. One single door in the whole campus being unlocked or not even ajar will fail you. And 6 schools in Deltona have been audited, and all have passed with no deficiencies. Yeah, it's amazing. They're doing an amazing job. And their graduation is
I was
today
just going to say, their graduation.
at Sunrise Elementary.
1 o'clock.
That's all I got.
Quick question, Sheriff.
Yep, absolutely.
For the programs you guys are doing and you're asking questions, do you guys run into any special needs?
Yes, all the time.
Handle that a little differently.
Absolutely, we handle it wildly differently. So all of our school resource officers and school resource deputies are trained by attorneys on how to handle ADA issues by Volusia County Schools, and we consistently train that. And then anytime that we run into an issue where a student has an ADA issue of any kind, we then loop in both the ESE department and, if necessary, the mental health department to ensure that, within the schools, to ensure that we're all on the same page and that they're handled appropriately. And last year was our first year with 0 violations from any law enforcement involvement with kids with ESE. And so far, we also have 0 violations this year as well. And that is monitored also by the federal government.
That's awesome. I only ask because I know I've gotten some compliments that our Volusia County Sheriff's Office does a really good job with that stuff. And I know you're very involved with the special needs community, so thank you guys.
Thank you. You good? Because if not, I'll go to Julian. I know he's chomping at the bit.
Okay, so it involves a young man at Manatee, and he has his Manatee Cove Elementary, and he professed to be a part of or an associate of a gang. He gave a bad name of the gang that he's a part of, so we're reaching out to some of our partners about that and trying to figure out any validity to those statements. But he had professed that he had a friend who could make 3D firearms, and he was talking about it while he was on school campus, and he had previously been in some trouble for bringing a toy gun into school campus. And from what I'm looking at here, he's since been suspended, and we're looking into his history, associates' history, parents, and any validity of his ability to gather some of these materials.
One thing you didn't touch on, behavioral unit. Did you? Here, sit here. Sit here, don't move over anything. I advocated the throne.
So anytime a threat comes into one of our campuses, we reach out to the behavioral threat unit. They're specifically trained. There's an entire team of them on how to handle those cases. Some of them are pretty complex, so you might need subpoenas, search warrants, things of that nature. And the concept is that if a person is on the pathway to violence, to get them off of that pathway to violence. So we reach out to the team. It's actually under Lieutenant Tucker. They take care of the investigation, make contact with the student, figure out how to get them off of the pathway to violence. There's, I believe, 5 or 6 levels, and we have to figure out where they're at on that level and then redirect their grievance to us instead of whatever it is that they're upset with, and then make sure that it's properly investigated. Every single threat is investigated 100%. We follow up on it until it's completely resolved and we have a resolution to it. A lot of times parents of the victims don't have a very good understanding of what the outcome of it is because of FERPA and laws involving the federal government. So a lot of times they feel like they didn't get enough information, but it's because it can't be given to them.
Seminole County Sheriff's Office played a huge role.
Yes, we went down to Seminole. They trained us. We looked at their model. We went to Pinellas County, looked at their model. Palm Beach County reviewed their model. It's modeled off of the Secret Service's template. They put out a template on how law enforcement agencies should do it and what the expectations are. We modeled ours right off of that, and it's been incredibly successful. It's game changer, big time game changer. Sheriff, thank you so much for that.
Oh, anytime.
Model it off the best and then become the best.
There you go. So even Captain Dietrich back there oversees courts. He took this model and is now applying it to the judges in the courthouses because of all the threats that come in. So it wasn't only for schools. It was such a good idea, we've morphed it over to that. Julian, go ahead, talk fraud, because that's obviously our that and fentanyl are our two highest
Yeah,
issues.
good morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
Financial crimes for this quarter, year to date, January to March, for Deltona, we only adopted 9 cases, which is a good thing. And we only take cases where the victims lost significant amount of money. Total loss of the victims for this case was about $177,500. That figure also includes a case where the victim was a business, Lowe's. I'm going to talk about that case in a little bit. Out of that money lost, we recovered approximately $49,600, and that's going to include about $25,000 in tools that we got from a search warrant at a suspect's residence. As far as some of the things we worked, we've executed about 51 search and seizure warrants, and that includes physical location, electronic devices, cryptocurrency, bank account seizures. And just to give you a little perspective on that, every time we seize a bank account, that individual can no longer do business with that bank. They're pretty much shut down from that bank, and they're going to have to move on to another financial institution. And then when that happens, the banks are required to send a suspicious activity report to the Treasury, which another bank that the customer would approach would have that information as well. So that's significant. We worked a couple cases in Deltona that were of note. One of them was from Cloverleaf, which I don't know what's going on with Cloverleaf there, but this was in
Gotta
February.
get you out of there.
We had an elderly victim that was scammed out of about $6,000. He got a phone call. It was a bank impersonation. An Uber courier was sent to the house to pick up a package containing the cash. We got with Uber. They gave us information where the cash was dropped off. It was a residential area in Daytona. Following day, he called us, said, hey, the scammers are calling me again. We sent detectives there. They were asking for another $8,000. We put together a package. We stuffed newspapers. We got Uber to pick up the package again. And we had several detectives units. We had narcotics units. We have crime suppression team. And the drop-off was at the same location from the previous day. So we go there. We got people doing surveillance. We had an individual approach the Uber driver. We retrieve the package. He proceeds to stuff the package down his pants. And at that point, we had the crime suppression deputies challenge him. He takes off running. There's a food chase. We grab him. He had $1,500 in his possession. He's from South Florida. We believe they're getting recruited on Telegram, and they're sent to different locations just to pick up packages of cash. The driver of the vehicle that drove him there, we arrested him as well at an apartment in Daytona after he fled the area. The second significant case we had from Deltona is a Lowe's fraud case, and that involved several compromised Lowe's business accounts. We had several of Lowe's business customers who had their credit card information compromised, and some of these customers have over $1 million credit line. And
They're businesses, is what they are.
so that was approximately $46,000 in tools that were purchased with his credit card.
This guy comes from, the guy he's going to talk about, is a prolific drug dealing family out of the land. Now, you get caught with dope, you're going to go to jail. Fraud, maybe nothing at all.
So we identified 2 suspects through various technologies, facial recognition, license plate readers, arrest records. One of them was Tyler Cherry, felon with violent history, 32 felony charges. Of those, he had kidnapping, false imprisonment, possession of firearm by convicted felon, a robbery, shooting into a conveyance, you name it, he had everything. Jared Bennett, who's a friend of his, we started working the case, we identified them, we got arrest warrants for both Cherry and Bennett. We got a search warrant for the residence. We had SWAT team. He executed a search warrant at 342 San Sushi. In the residence, we located another individual, Tavis Mills. He was in possession of a handgun. He's a 5-time convicted felon, and he was arrested. Like I said, about $25,000 worth of tools were in boxes stacked up against the wall. We found some information there in the residence. We found credit cards that were shipped to an address in DeLand at 119 Lower Villas, which happens to be Cherry's girlfriend's apartment. So while we're there, we got another search warrant. Went to that residence. We found her inside. She had purchased several items with those credit cards: washer and dryer, bed, a nice sectional sofa, Ring cameras, several other things. So we seized all that. So we left the apartment in move-in ready for the next tenant. We got a warrant for her, arrested her, and these are some of the cases we worked for Deltona.
You want to talk about what we're doing and where we're headed in the future and what these guys have been like cutting edge on as far as and around the state what they're doing?
Yep. Good morning, Brian Henderson, Chief Deputy. So similar to our drug task forces, we've reached out to a lot of the municipalities in the county. What we found is that consistently the Sheriff's Office was providing a level of service that was not matched by some of the cities, usually because of resources or the ability to work these kind of cases. So we've been talking to the police chiefs throughout the county about designating one of their folks. Now, fraud, you have to want to do it. Julian wants to do it. You go down the line here and you got guys that are chasing, yeah, he's laughing, guns and drugs, that's right up their alley. So the thought is to put everybody in parity throughout the county. That way, if you live in a city, you're getting the same quality of service that you'd get from the Sheriff's Office. The other part of it, too, is sharing information. You know, these offenders, they cross judicial or jurisdictional boundaries. They may learn of a trend that we don't know about, or we may have already investigated it 5 or 6 times, and we can help another detective say, hey, we've dealt with this. This is how you do it. The other cool thing is there is a blockchain. Is that what you call it, Julian? Yeah, we talk because this is really important, and this is how they're so successful. And I think we're the only ones right now in the county that do it.
Yeah. I think in the state, really.
Tracing cryptocurrency. I mean, we use a company called TRM that provides a tracing tool. That's what we're using, and nobody in the county has it. But we help all the cities. Every time they have a case, they'll contact us. We're more than happy to help them out.
Because it's the same shitheads that are doing this stuff in the county or doing it in Daytona and everywhere else. I mean, this week's, unless I'm just paying attention more, but you got what? Daytona Kia got whacked for 2 cars in a fraudulent transaction, and you picked up 2 or 3 other jobs. I think George had like 7 of them this period in the land. You picked up a few of those as well.
Yes.
Well, every single case that we've talked about today, every single case that you guys have talked about today has involved Deltona, but has also involved another city.
Right.
Whether they're from another city, they went to another city, they committed a crime in another city, the same type of crime, it all involves another city. So this is phenomenal.
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely, good point.
One of the things that Julian's group has done very well, and it kind of surprises people when we tell them this, we're actually not looking for the offender as the priority. We're looking for the victim's money, because that's the only thing that's going to make these people whole. So they go after the money, and then if we can re-engineer the case, a lot of times they're overseas, it's hard to get them, but it means the most to the victim when we can get back their retirement that got swiped from their account. So, and they do a great job.
Yeah, that's when we get a case, that's our number one priority. We don't worry about whether we're going to charge somebody or not at that moment. We go after the bank accounts, cryptocurrency accounts, and the only way to recover money will be moving fast. And that's one thing that that we changed when we created the Financial Crimes Unit. That's not the way we're doing things. We're issuing subpoenas, taking time. We put a stop to that, and we move fast now.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Thank you for everything you do, for all of you, for what you do. But is there a way that we can somehow educate the public? I was talking to the sheriff earlier, couple of weeks ago, and would love to partner with you to do like a class at the center, just educational. I see it especially with my in-laws and with my parents. They're in their 80s, and they're always coming up to us, hey, I got this letter, I owe this money. We're like, no, just throw it away. It's not real, So we'd love to have something for our seniors in our community and also for our children, social media.
You guys give us some dates, and we'll set it
Okay.
up.
I'll work with our city
And if you
manager,
wanna
with
work
Doc,
with your folks back there, we could certainly do PSA messages to play on Deltona TV as well.
I think it's needed, especially with our children, our community, with social media. It's pretty scary out there. So a little bit of education, I think would help.
You just did one in Oak Hill?
We did one no-kill last night, and we did have a detective in Deltona TV a few weeks ago that talked about frauds.
Kind of along that same line, Sheriff, I don't know if it was last year or the year before last, we did the screen of Thelma at the theater.
At the theater, yeah.
Would that be something that would be beneficial? Are we seeing some, similar increases or levels?
I will tell you, the more places you can get the information out, the better.
Okay.
And I think you have the senior citizens in there anyway, right, with all the activities. Yes. I mean, a lunch or a breakfast, I think would be perfect.
One of the things, Sheriff, that we're actually going to be looking to be doing is we do a lot of these talks, with the different nursing homes and stuff like that, and we're able to reach the seniors in that home. But as the demand for that has gotten bigger and bigger, we're looking to expand that and do more of a train-the-trainer thing, and maybe do one of those kind of trainings for all the directors of the nursing home, and maybe provide a PowerPoint and some information for them to be able to go back and disperse it and try to expand that net that we get with a little more effectively.
For the center, though, I would ask you guys give us a date, and we'll make sure we put everything together, and we'll help blast the message out there, and we'll get there, and then we'll work on a PSA to do. Maybe there's a way we can hook up with the schools, and maybe that their PSA that can go out into the schools.
When we
Gets everybody there, yeah.
we had that movie, and I know that we hooked up with Frank DeMarche, who allowed us to use the theater. He donated the theater, and we had a large turnout, a big turnout.
Two showings.
Two showings,
Yeah.
right? We had 2 showings, so I'm pretty sure, to make it more convenient to show the movie, I'm sure he'll do it again. He won't have a problem doing it again.
I think you can do both. I mean, show the movie
Yeah.
and do something at the center. That way you're getting people.
I think the trainer idea is phenomenal. If we could try to work with maybe the county to get, I know that they use some licensing with the at-home living facilities, and get some of the directors and managers to come. That would be awesome. Get everybody involved.
There we go.
More the better.
Anybody got any questions? You'll get the test later. I saw you taking notes.
I always take notes for myself. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Sheriff, for participating at the Deltona High School football award ceremony. It's amazing. You saw how big it got this year. Next year, we probably have to open up the whole center. This was done at the center in Deltona. The best part about this year was that we actually saw them sign their contract with the universities that they were going to be playing with. That was added this year. So thank you very much.
Put me down for $1,000 next year as a sponsor.
Awesome. Then I can put my check back in my pocket. Thank you.
Write it down. So you'll come to me in 6 months, I'm like, huh, what were you talking about? I never said that.
And they're going to love it. They really are, because this is the first year that they charged. Normally they do it for free, and I was like, are you nuts? So they started charging, although a lot of the stuff was donated. I also want to send out an invitation. I sent the email to Karen and Mitzi. An invitation to everyone for May 23rd. VEMA is having their memorial bike ride, and this year, I know that during the veteran stand down, we had the Vietnam traveling wall and the wall, like this one I confused, the War on Terror wall escorted here to the center, and one of your deputies got hurt. And so normally VEMA does their bike ride fundraiser, and we partner with UCF PTSD program, but this year it was decided that whatever is raised, half is going to your deputy Morgan.
Thank you.
And so this year's going to be a little bit different. We're going to take off from here, and OBs at DeLand invited us, as well as DeLand invited VEMA to be part of the bike ride on their side. So we're going to end it at OBs around 1 o'clock. We're going to be there. So everyone is invited to participate. Bring a check. Anything that's donated towards Morgan is going to go to a different account directly to him. So please participate. If you're off and you're a rider, we welcome you. I think we're going to be leaving here about 11:30. So
Hopefully he gets out of the hospital today. He cannot stand on his leg for at least 3 months from the amount of damage that was done to him. And I know you guys aren't privy to it. We were privy to it. There was a car behind the vehicle that struck Michael, and that video is scary to watch. How this guy just drove into him. Is what he did.
I know. Some of the escorts from VSO, they told us it was sort of a little disappointing because they saw him on the ground, but they had to keep going because that's supposedly, the way things are done. But, we appreciate everything that you guys do with VEMA, and this escort meant a lot to us. So I think it's only fair that we give back. And I say we because I'm a member of VEMA as well.
Well, you're getting another detective out here because Katie, they cut his motor boots off him, so he can't wear them anymore. So we turned him into loafers, which we didn't present to him yet, and he'll be assigned to because he's his second crash. He can't go back on that bike. So we're going to send him. He's going to come out here as a detective. Stay out here and be a detective.
Okay, so May 23rd, please put it on your calendar. Join us either here. OBs is going to be better. It's going to be music and entertainment and stuff. So please join us that day. Thank you so much again for everything you do with us.
No, thank you, Moritz. Thank you. We really appreciate you guys taking the time. It means a lot. You guys get to see it firsthand. So when somebody comes up and talks, you guys say, wait a minute, I was there. I heard, I saw. So it's all good stuff. All right. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, sure.
John, you had too much to say. I think that's the most Dave's ever spoken.
Figured it would help.